pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Awesome. Can we please get a roll call for January 10th, 2024?
Chairperson Davis,
Yes?
Vice Chairperson Ezell,
Here.
Commissioner Lance,
Here.
Commissioner Sherrill, Commissioner Souter.
Here.
Okay. Has everyone had the opportunity to review the minutes from December 13th meeting? And if so, approval of the minutes of the December 13th, 2023 minutes.
Motion to approve the December 13 minutes.
I'll second.
Wonderful. Okay, so number 4 on our agenda is any communications or comments by the public. Anybody here that would? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought, do that.
Vice Chairperson Ezell,
Yes.
Commissioner Lance,
Yes.
Commissioner Souter,
Yes.
Chairperson Davis.
Yes. I do apologize. I got ahead of myself. If we could go ahead, if there are any comments or communication from the public or the community at this time. Okay. From any commission, are there any cases not listed on our minutes for this tonight's meeting that we would like to discuss? Okay, awesome. So if we can move forward to, our first property is 2115 Eldridge Road. This is a show cause hearing, requesting the owners in attendance, or the owners for 2115 Eldridge Road here. Do we have an update on that property, Ms. Torrey?
So, based upon last month's meeting, I did go and have the house boarded up all the way around. Plus, I posted the condemnation card and the previous housing commission order as well. The owners tried to reach out. Apparently, they talked to the neighbors, and the neighbors might have reached out to them to let them know that the city's been over there. When I tried to return the phone call, it went to a voicemail, but the voicemail, it was full, so I couldn't leave anything. So he's tried to call back, and our residential inspector tried to return the call 2 more times after that, and we're not able to get communication with him. So I haven't had communication, and we've tried, to return that. With that being said, the only thing is the total building value over there, it's $98,500, and the repairs cannot exceed 50% of that, so they'd have to stay under $49,250. If it exceeds that for that front load-bearing wall, then it will have to be demolished. But if it exceeds 30% of that 98,000 building value, then they're gonna have to bring the entire structure up to code. So it just really depends on what the cost would be to fix that front load-bearing wall.
And we've not had any communication whatsoever with them.
No, ma'am, I've tried, but
No one's residing there either.
it's, besides vagrants, I know that was an issue, which is why we did have it boarded up. But other than that, I haven't had any other words of people being over there, and it still stands as how it was whenever I went out after they boarded it up. Everything's taut and secured, so they were able to board up that opening where the garage door wouldn't come down either. So
Right now, y'all are playing phone tag.
I was trying to. And my thing is, I mean, it's your property. Like, why are you not down here looking at it if your neighbors are telling you that the city's been out here? And I've posted all these things on here saying, like, this is what needs to be done. This is the next meeting. You need to be here. I've sent it. It gets sent back to me, certified and regular mail. Kind of at a loss of what to do next.
Who is the owner of it?
And look at Eden's. Looks like they have a property in East Brainerd, 1715 Springview Lane. So this may be an inherited property or, something they bought to rent out. Is all the trash still there? Everything?
I think that was on the road, by the road.
In the pictures, it looked like there was debris.
It looked like some of it's been cleaned up, but I'm not sure. Ever since I had it boarded up, that's the last time I've been out there.
I was just curious to see if there had been signs of anybody there.
It didn't look like it when I went out. for the board up.
How long has this property been empty?
That's a good question. I would say now probably 3-4 months, maybe 5 months.
They have tried to call back, but y'all are not jiving.
They've called back, or they've called me, they've tried to reach out, and I either was not in the office or I was doing whatever I was doing, and I tried to return the phone call, and it doesn't work. And I don't know how else to get, like, through to them. And same with our residential inspector, he tried twice as well, and couldn't make connection.
I'd like to make a motion we pass to March 13th to try to actually get a hold of these people before we do something else.
March 13th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Vice Chairperson Ezell. Commissioner Lance. Commissioner Souter.
Yes.
Chairperson Davis.
Yes.
One clarification. Commissioner, so that's to keep the property in the condemnation?
Yes.
Yeah, there's no action been taken to lift that, so that would have had to been a motion to lift it, so I want to make sure it's clear. I'll put that in the order. The property remains unfit. There's been no action to modify that or lift it.
Okay. The next item is 4802 Madonna Avenue. Do we have an update on that property?
The street department go out to maintain the backyard and clear some of the bushes in the front that covered the house, just try to make the exterior appearance more feasible, pleasable. I posted notices in the orders on the structure along with mailing it to the last known property owner, which was Mr. Ryan. I've tried to find relatives for the previous owner, but I've had no luck. I even reached out to the funeral home where I found his obituary, but there's no obituary online. Like, there's nothing for you to read. It was very, very strange. So I called them, and they were helpful as much as they could be, but apparently he had a nephew. That was his next of kin. His name is Robert Davenport. He lived out of Harrison. They gave me his last known address, but he sold the house in 2022. So I tried to go through Hamilton County's records on the property search, and I couldn't find him owning anything else in Hamilton County. And the number that they had for him that was on file with them, it doesn't work anymore. They try to call it. So I'm back to square one.
No social media on Robert?
I've looked on Facebook. I was pulling up different profiles just trying to see if it maybe even fit, and none of them fit for him. I don't know.
And this property's not necessarily in bad repair. It's just vacant and getting there.
Yes. I don't know the extent of the repairs or how bad it truly is just from the neglect, because I haven't saw the inside of it yet. It's boarded up, it's secure, like nobody can get in, but ultimately with it sitting as long as it has, you can tell that there's some issues. I don't necessarily think it is demolition worthy, but
The original stated that it had a collapsing roof.
in the back is what it looked like. You can see where it's starting to cave in.
Is the property taxes still being paid on it? I know that at one time, was this one of the neighbors that had been paying?
They were, but no, they haven't paid. I believe they're either 2 or going on 3 years of back tax.
That's my question for the attorney in this position. When you have a property that's really doesn't belong to anybody, does this become the state?
Well, they have abandoned property statutes, but real property is different than personal property. Arguably, somebody has paid taxes. It sounds like the neighbors, or at least we've been advised the neighbors have been, paying, and so, you could even argue that, even at some point, you almost even have an eminent domain issue here, so, this is an anomaly that nobody is stepping up to take, title, or at least try to obtain title to the property.
At what point will the county over back taxes?
4 years, and so we still got, and it's just now in arrears from 2022, I think, and we're into 2023 taxes now, and I have to check to see if they've been paid, but presumably they've not been paid. But
2.5 years then left on that.
We got a long way to go. So, I mean, this is a trouble. I mean, right now, I think we've not done publication yet, correct? So here's my thoughts. I'd like to better position the commission with respect to, upcoming potential action steps. I think we ought to do a public notice, or I would recommend a motion for public notice to be issued, with respect to this property, asking that any owners come forward that the property is in violation of the issues identified in the citation, and that otherwise, this commission may take self-help efforts at the next, or we can try to do a March one if you want, to give plenty of time. In the meantime, the problem with Robert Davenport is not a particularly uncommon name. I actually know a Robert Davenport, but I don't think it's this person. It's, I'll find out, but I don't think it's this Robert Davenport. So we'll try more efforts. In the meantime, I suggest we do public notice to get, hopefully somebody on notice that may see this property and know a connection. And we put a date and time for the next hearing with hopes that someone shows up for a show cause to demonstrate, you know, what repairs are gonna be made to the property.
The only question, the only people who knew the gentleman who owned the house before he expired were the neighbors who were paying the property tax.
Sounds like it.
Is it an ethical wrong to maybe try to find them?
No.
To see if maybe they know of anybody who potentially, okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with all efforts to try to locate. I mean, our intent here is to find someone with an interest that will come in and either make the repairs, or at least appear so that they know what efforts the city may take to bring it into compliance.
Do you still have the address for Mr. Davenport that he sold in Harrison?
I do back in my office, I do.
Get that I may go through the back door with a realtor company.
Yeah. I even thought about maybe sending a letter to like that current resident to see if maybe they had contact information from,
Forwarding it, yeah.
previously. I know like with the neighbors that were paying the property taxes on it though, they have since moved out of the house that they were living in. So I'm not real sure how to get back in communication with them. I think I had a number, but it went to maybe one of their moms. Like it was a really long road I had to go down to even try to figure them out at first. And I don't remember them ever saying why they were paying. I think they were trying to take over that property at some point. But I'm pretty sure also that they told me that there was nobody else. Like it just sat. Nobody wanted it.
But when that happens, Litchfield, what happens to property? When, say, no one has an heir, no one has any family?
Well, presumably in those situations, taxes don't get paid, and so it goes to a back tax sale, and
But for 4 years, that
But, I mean, that's-
property-
I mean, that's-
in the meantime.
in the meantime,
Well, there's a reason for
municipalities,
that.
I mean, municipalities end up taking over the maintenance of those properties, filing liens, and
Okay,
it's, you see this,
okay.
but, I mean, as far as ownership, we can't do anything, but, until the back tax, and the city may have to undertake its own self-help efforts to improve it.
Okay.
Can I don't mean to interrupt, this is just really curious, I'm more curious about this. What if somebody comes in and pays the taxes that doesn't own it? Do they have a right to like put a lien on the property for those taxes, or no, because they didn't get any permission to pay the taxes, they just paid them?
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah,
Look at it.
yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
we've not been inside it, though. I mean, it might,
Boarded. It'd be easy to get
Yeah.
into.
you know,
Yeah, if the roof is looking like it's gonna collapse.
the outside looks great when you open the door, it's atrocious.
Mhm.
I would like codes to go inside it.
That'd be awesome if we could.
Do we have to get a warrant
Yeah,
or anything?
I mean, we can get an administrative warrant for that, and undertake efforts to, obtain entry into the property, minimally invasive inspection. Obviously, it can't be for criminal purposes, but we don't have any suspicion of that. This is more to determine, the structural integrity and what safety, concerns or hazards may be existing in this property.
Okay. any motions?
Wow.
I'm 4802.
First one will be for public notice.
Public notice, right to enter, and didn't pass any decisions until March.
March 13th. Look here at March 13th meeting.
All right.
Did you say that was the 18th?
March 13th.
13th.
If you could put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Did you make the motion, she seconded, is that what?
That's sort of what happened
Sounds
over here, I
like
think.
it. Do I need to put that in a more formal form of motion?
All right, right now I've got it that we do an inspection, public notice. To anyone with an interest in the property. I will also, what I'll do is, if you'll remind me, call me either tomorrow or early next week. I'll do a title search to see if there's any mortgage on the property, and perhaps if there is some debt, we can serve notice on the debt holder, the note holder, and see if they've got any, information. My concern is that there probably isn't, because if there had been,
It'd be
then they would have either foreclosed or they would have paid the taxes to make sure it doesn't get foreclosed. So, but we'll search anyway.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second.
Vice Chairperson Ezell? Commissioner Lance?
Yes.
Commissioner Souder?
Yes.
Chairperson Davis?
Yes. Okay. Next item is 3714 Sullivan Avenue. No?
1029,
1029.
I'm so sorry. I'm on the wrong page. I do apologize, y'all. 1029 South Seminole Drive. This is a final show cause hearing with the owners on why this property should not be demoed. And do we have anybody here from that property? Looks like not. Do we have any updates on 1029 Seminole, South Seminole?
So I went and posted the last order on the property, and the condemnation placard was still on there. The property owner still has not reached out. No permits have been pulled. I did go ahead and look at what the total building value was, and then what it would have to offset in order to not exceed that 50% mark. So it's weird because it's not a split parcel, it's that just one big parcel. So if I did this right, and I guess Mr. Litchford, you can correct me if it's wrong, but I'm assuming for both houses, the building value is $216,100. So if I divided that, I'm assuming each would maybe be around $108,000-ish roughly, if that's how they do that, decipher that.
Possibly. I mean, there may be a square footage pro rata, but, I mean, not a bad way to think of it.
Right, so, I don't know. Because of the extent of the damage on the interior with the floor and the flooring system shifting away from the structure of the house, I do not see it being able to be under that 50,000 mark, but then again, I also am not for sure. All I know is she's had notice, I've sent it certified, regular mail, I've posted it. I can't force them to be here, but I also don't know what else to do.
You have had contact with her, though.
Once,
Yeah.
And she did get all they got everything moved out and had the exterior cleaned up. She did do that, was very proud. I told her on that conversation after that, I was like, you need to be here, you need to appear. Okay. And she even said, I'm gonna get the repairs done, I'm gonna get them done. I said, with proper permits, properly, with somebody that's a contractor and has a license. Yeah, no.
Well, our last meeting, we agreed for her to bring an engineer.
Was that conveyed to her?
It was in the notice. I'm pretty sure in the order that Mr. Litchwood drafted.
Specifically, the owner shall bring to the final show cause hearing a licensed engineer to demonstrate what improvements can be made to the property to bring the property into compliance with the city's applicable building and housing codes.
And that was satisfactory delivered. She got it.
Possibly, I think I did get a signed green card back from that on this one.
So since this is just one home on a property that has a couple, does that doesn't interfere with any of the other structures on that property, just that one structure? And it's currently condemned and no one's living in it. Is it boarded up or secured?
It's secure.
We've been going over this since September.
Yeah,
Just
we need to,
thought I'd throw that out.
do something.
I don't want, if they don't want to do nothing with it, we can.
Motion to go ahead and proceed with demolition, posting a date. I mean, when would it be set for?
March?
March 13th?
You set it for demolition, have a,
Like a window of time to respond?
yeah, what I would do, we want 30, I like to have 30 days in between. So if you reset this, that you can order that the property be condemned, and that if the property is not condemned by February, 14th.
I thought it was already under
It's already
condemnation.
It is.
condemned.
But it condemned, but what about for demolition?
No.
We set it for demolition. We set it for demolition on or before, the property owners must demolish the property on or before February 14th, 2024. Otherwise, when you come back here on February 14th, then you all can make the final order for the city to demolish within a time period there. And that day will be a 30-day period after that.
So that gives them
It's
60
fair.
days.
It basically gives them 60 days to do it, and it puts them on notice that if they don't do it, the city or the commission will move for the city to demolish it. But they have an opportunity to demolish it. It also gives them opportunity to show cause as of February 14th if they've got anything they want to show up for and try to persuade the commission differently.
And the resident that you were speaking to, or the person, was that the actual owner, or was that the,
Weird. So the owner that's listed on record is Charles, what'd I say his last name was? Meadows.
Meadows? Okay.
He's passed away. It's his wife, but she's not listed on the property card. But also, throwing it back, way back in September when we were talking about this from the beginning, this property is known to be a problem property. So I know that there is other people that like stay there. It's very strange. I don't know the whole odds and ends on it. I know nobody's in the structure we're talking about, but she's who I spoke to.
Okay.
If she's not on the property card, then she may not have any rights to the home.
That's fine.
Well, she would. That's the surviving spouse. She would. I mean, she would under, so,
Yeah.
I mean,
Believe it or not, yeah, I'm dealing with that right now.
Okay, so I make a motion that the property at 1029 South Seminole Drive, an order be issued for demolition prior to 2/14/24, and if not, demolition does not occur by 2/14/24, having the city proceed with demolition.
Awesome. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Vice Chairperson Ezell, Commissioner Lance,
Yes.
Commissioner Souder,
Yes.
Chairperson Davis.
Yes. Next on the agenda is 5729 State Line Road, follow-up hearing on the status of that property. Do we have folks? Yes, if y'all would like to come forward. Hi, can we get your name and contact information for record, please?
Cell phone number, right? For
Yep.
contact. So Lance Spencer,
Lance Spencer?
yep.
Okay.
310-663-8057.
Okay, should put that- okay. All right, what can you tell us about 5729 State Line Road at this point?
A lot, actually. So this was bought about a year ago. I had a contractor that was supposed to do it. Contractor didn't work out.
Are you the owner?
I am, yes, it's Tennessee One Properties.
Okay,
Tennessee One
awesome.
Properties, yes. And I had a falling out with the contractor. He decided to put liens on it, so I couldn't do anything on the property after that. And so it sat there vacant for a few months. I got that removed. I tried to reopen permits. And thus, because of the way he pulled permits, the amount that needed to do it versus the amount that I'm going to get it done for are two different things. And the city said, based on his previous amount that I am not using anymore, that I can't repair the property.
Okay. I think his bid, what he was stating, would
Was
need to be.
exceeding, yes.
Exceeding 50% of the total
Yes.
value of the property is where that line is.
And one of the reasons why we had a falling out is his bids were for,
Now, he was not the original contractor, correct?
he was the original contractor.
oh.
Yes. Which was a while ago. He was the original contractor for me.
Okay.
I don't, maybe I'm missing what you're asking on that.
The gentleman who was here last month.
No, he was
Right.
not. No,
Okay.
absolutely not.
Okay,
That was,
that was,
Mr.
yeah.
Richard McElhaney.
right. He was the one who gave us the amount that he had turned in a bid for that
Yes.
was more than. Okay. So what was the bid from your original contractor to get it up to?
It was around $50,000.
St. Richards was 49.
And the value of the home, I think, is 48.
The last, I don't know who Richard, he might have been the attorney, but the new contractor, I'm sorry?
Rich McElhaney was the contractor that was here last month with the guy that was representing you.
Got it, which is right there.
I'll take.
Yes,
Mr. Sante, right?
yes.
His bid was 49,000 according to him.
Okay, I don't have that bid, so that's not the bid that I'm working with right now. But the main issues, I think, is there was a lot of deterioration, which there isn't. And I don't want to get into the old contractor, so I'm trying not to. But there was things that were not done correctly, and I'm just trying to make it right, because when we bought that house, it was an existing house that somebody was currently living in, and he didn't make it that way at the end, and I'm just trying to remedy what was already existing there.
Okay. So the total value of the property, though, per record was what, $48,000? So to get it all updated, it would need to, the value would need to be half.
Yes.
Less than half of
Yes,
that amount.
absolutely. And realistically, the guy that I'm going to have doing, the contractor that I'm going to have doing it, he said he can do it for that price. I can get a bid, I can do all that. He said he'd be ready for a rough inspection within a week of starting it, but I can't do anything until I come to you guys and do all that stuff.
Tori, have you done an inspection on this, on the inside? For everything that needs to happen for it to be brought up to?
Well, first and foremost, there needs to be a structural engineer that goes out there and gives us a report. I'm not releasing anything or doing anything until we have such, which has been asked for multiple times previously.
I was not aware of that, so that was probably the previous contractor. I can get that
Like,
done.
we probably need to be dealing straight with you.
I'm
instead
okay
of
with
your
that. I'm absolutely okay with that. This is why I'm here tonight. They told me my house is about to get tore down. I was like, I will show up, and I have no problem showing up. So if that's something that needs to happen, I have no problem presenting that. If that's the route we need to go, I'm not here to argue with you guys. I'm here to pretty much ask for mercy. So have to tear down the house.
So if the total building value, the building value is 48.5, all repairs have to be made with $24,250. It cannot exceed that. If it exceeds that in any form or fashion, it is demolished. No questions. Has to be. So therefore, the question is, can all the repairs that need to be made for less than $25,000?
And I'm confident they can. But again, I can get if you guys need the structural engineer, I can get him out there to verify everything.
That's a codes requirement.
And I absolutely okay with getting that done. I'm not trying to fight that at all. I'm not trying to do any of that. I want to get the property.
So we'll need to, all right, so the last one was for it to be demolished.
That's correct.
The owner was to demolish in 30 days. So we'll need to, if there is an effort to stay demolition efforts, then there'll need to be a motion to amend the previous order
To allow 30 days to get
To
a
allow-
structural engineer
a structural engineer
and a price.
and a competitively bid price. Not just, it's
I would
gotta be
suggest
Not on a
Three
napkin.
bids.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, 3 bids.
Yeah.
structural
3 bids. Okay.
plus competitively bid.
Yeah, it may
But
be.
competitively bid price will have to be based upon what the structural engineer
Absolutely.
identifies as to the needed repairs. That structural engineer will need to go out with our code enforcement department for the codes to identify all of the violations that exist.
I'll take chief building official as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm including within that, yes, the chief building official. We will have to point out, to the extent necessary, identify what there are deemed to be violations, or, stated differently, non-complying standards.
If I recall, there were no floors throughout the whole
There
structure.
wasn't until
There's
there
no-
was, after we already put a stop work order and condemnation placard and people were working on it without permits.
Okay.
Again, I did have a falling out with my contractor and all this other stuff, so the contractor is no longer there. So
What was the name of that original contractor?
his name is Joel Brett Warren, and his Brett. So it's Joel Warren, but he goes by Brett. But if you want, I can actually give you the name of his company.
I have a question on a under $25,000 repair. Where does that have to bring the house to? Just the structural part? I mean, where does that stop and start? Cause they may wanna add an addition to it. They may wanna,
So ultimately, if we're looking at the total building value being 48,000, right? If the cost of repairs exceed 30% of this value, the entire structure, I'm talking mechanical, plumbing, electrical, building, you name it, every single thing has to be brought up to code, current code, per our city regulations and per the International Property Maintenance Code, IRC, all that stuff. If for some reason the repairs exceed the 50% mark of the total building value, then it's demoed, no questions asked. So therefore, if the price is already 24,000, and I don't necessarily know what's all wrong, because when we asked for that structural engineer's report, it was because there was foundation, no foundation. I couldn't really tell you at that point in time.
but that covers code violations,
It's supposed to cover everything, yes.
not upgrades, just code violations.
Everything. If it reaches that 30% value mark, they have to upgrade everything, not just what we want per code. I mean everything for a residential home.
Finishes including?
Finishes included.
So in extreme cases, I mean, in one sense, I think of it as almost a protection for for the owner, because you don't want to put $100,000 into a property that's only worth $20,000, because what's going to end up happening? I mean, it's to protect. It's a really good thing, but it also brings up the point, it may be more economical to take the structure down and just build a new one.
Which I've done before in the past when it was economical. I have a property on Pleasant that I demoed because it was cheaper to do that.
Right.
And I understand that. I do have a few projects, and this one was just one that fell through, well,
Okay.
fell through the process. And it's not, again, I do want to make it right.
Right.
Are you at the point, or is the property at the point where the liens have been lifted and you could re-permit it even?
Yes,
No?
yes. No, no, no.
Have those liens been paid that we have?
No, not your liens. Oh, I thought, okay, so not those liens, but I have no problem doing that. I didn't know there were liens on the property.
Is that the only thing that's keeping the being re-permitted?
So the reason why we wouldn't approve the re-permit is because I brought it here and I could never get a hold of anyone from all the addresses that we sent the letters to.
Wow.
So when Danny got the previous permit from Mr. McElhaney, I told him to put it on hold because I needed someone to appear to reach out to tell me what's going on with this property because we just brought it to Housing Commission. So that's why it's on hold.
Then you caught them working against the non-work order.
Correct.
I also thought there were liens that were the issue from the contractors.
There is.
That's
what-
not
yeah.
our.
Okay, that
yeah.
has nothing to do.
That should be removed. Those should all be,
Now, if this was a lien from the contractors, we have nothing to do with
Right.
that.
oh,
Yeah,
okay, that's what I
that's
thought you were
nothing.
talking
I
about.
thought you meant all the posts for cleanups that I've sent the city to take care of.
I got you.
Okay. So I'll make a motion that we put a stay order on the demo. And we need a constructional engineer with her to go through the place. I need 3 bids for the repairs by
Yes.
February 14th. That's the next meeting.
Question. The repairs, can I have some for the structural and different for like the finishes, or they all have to be for the same?
It's a total.
Which total?
Mm,
So you could have one contractor do one thing and another contractor do another, is that
But
correct?
if I do that, I have to have 3 different bids per thing, correct? Or is it 3, and that, I'm just trying to make sure I have this correct.
It's to complete.
The total project. Perfect, okay.
Yeah, it would be-
Competitive.
It would be bundled under a general contractor.
Yes.
Except the structural.
No, that can, I believe that can still be under the
Yeah,
general
it could
contractor.
be- the engineer's separate,
Right.
but it was just it would be his recommendation on foundation and structural.
Okay. You have motion? Okay. We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. So you have
1 month.
to get with Ms.
Satisfy her.
Tori,
Absolutely.
get the engineer in there and see if this is gonna make, if it's gonna be worthwhile or not.
Absolutely.
And then make sure to come back.
Just for future, may I ask, where's the evaluation of the property coming from?
Hamilton County.
Hamilton County tax assessors.
So it's whatever the tax assessors at that, any given time assess
Well,
it
it's
for?
annually.
Assessment, which I think they did an assessment.
They just did assessment.
Yeah, they just did the assessment. So it's
Okay.
I think they send those cards out in what, September, October? That's when I got mine. So sometime in that period.
Okay.
And questions, I would assume, would go to the tax assessor's office if you have questions regarding the value.
Well, I mean, like, it's disputing it the wrong way, so, in that situation. I
Right.
was just curious, because obviously, fixed up, the property is worth significantly more than $58,000.
How big of a piece of property is that on?
It's not that big. I think it's around, I believe, like 700 square feet.
Oh, okay,
It's really not that big.
okay. Okay, awesome. So we have a motion, and a second, and you'll be back here February,
Yes, ma'am.
correct? Okay.
Vice Chairperson Ezell,
Yes.
Commissioner Lance.
Yes.
Commissioner Souter,
Yes.
Chairperson Davis.
Yes. Oh, 1 second.
I understand, and I did not feel like,
I was told to come here today, and so it didn't get demoed. I'm like, what? So I have no problem
doing whatever needs to be happening.
We have exchanged contact information?
Yes.
And that includes an email?
It includes her email. I can give her.
We want to get all of it.
Absolutely, I have no problem doing that.
And
I will
then,
write
Mr. Joel Brett Warren, is that his
It's
name?
no longer.
What
my
was his company name?
It's pretty much
J.B. Warren Construction. Okay. And is this the new contract? You're not
No, he's the representative, but
just the representative.
I will have bids from all contractors and all that stuff. And I have to do that before I pull permits, so I'll have all the bids and everything to her.
Before we'll approve a permit, I gotta have that structural
Yep.
engineer's report.
With the structural engineer report, I will have 3 bids to fix up the property.
Absolutely. Okay, great. We'll see you then.
Thank you, guys, I appreciate it. Sorry.
All right. Next is 12 Sheridan Avenue. Follow-up from October 11th. Are they done?
Good news, good news. So Miss Wright took the property to Planning Commission, I think it was last week. And Planning Commission did approve the rezone, so they did go through with that. I think it's the R3. She does have to take it to council before the zoning will roll over to the zoning. She just had it and they have to approve it as well. She already has a contractor ready. It's Weston Construction. They are literally just waiting on her go-ahead and approval once she hears from council. The exterior has been maintained. It's clean. I mean, she's taken care of it pretty well, fixed the windows that were broken, and she's made those efforts, and I know that she has, and I know that she is ready to move forward. She just had to get it rezoned, so.
Okay.
I say we let it go. I know that sometimes you're sometimes hesitant just because I know in the past we've done that and then, you know, it falls through. If anything, I think she meets this month with council, I think, right?
I think it goes the 25th. It's the 25th because we had to have those days, those 15 days. So it'll go the 25th, and then the second Thursday in February
Okay.
will be the second reading.
Should we pass this to March?
The
or let it
proper
go?
motion would be, I mean, obviously, if it's gone through the zoning, would be to wait to see if it
Ultimately, yes.
holds together. If it doesn't, it takes care of itself.
Mhm.
And if it does, then I guess then we address it at that point, that she has to bring it on to compliance, right? And obviously, she has a licensed contractor ready.
She just hasn't done any of the interior because she's trying to get that rezoned so she can do the R3 and have it as a quadplex. And I don't blame her. I wouldn't want to invest a lot of money into something like that whenever I'm trying to get it rezoned and just kind of wait to see where it falls.
But you see her working to be compliant with this commission,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, she hired a civil engineer, I believe, to come and present at the planning commission. So she's taken every extra step that she can just to try to get it approved. So
What we're after, right?
Is for me anyway.
Okay.
So
just that compliance.
14th, because the second reading would be February 8th. And ours is 14th. Yeah.
Okay. Do we have a motion? To pass in a second?
That would be my motion to pass to the 14th after the second reading for zoning.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Vice Chairperson Ezell, Commissioner Lance, Commissioner Souter,
Yes.
Chairperson Davis.
Yes. I know I did this as item number 5, but I just want to circle up again. Are there any questions or discussions that anybody wants to touch base on any of the properties or any other properties that we discussed tonight? Yes.
Well, this is not specific to any property that we've discussed. It just came up with one of the properties with the discussion of if there's a property that's owned by one single person and that person is deceased, and the spouse was never added to the deed. And I know there's a stipulation of property would have to have been purchased before they become married. Does that spouse honestly have rights to the property? Because in the past, I was ruled that they didn't.
I don't know what that scenario was, but in Tennessee law, you've got a, real property passes outside of, what they call testate law, or otherwise known as probate law. And so the property they understand real property never is untitled. It always has a title to somebody. And so in Tennessee, it is presumed that even if the spouse is never officially put on the deed of a tract of real property, upon the title owner, or at least the recorded title owner's passing, the surviving spouse is assumed to be the heir to that. And so a lot of times you have what they call a monument of title or an affidavit of heirship that can get filed, which basically lays out decedent owned property, was married to spouse, surviving spouse is here, and they file that. It doesn't happen, and unfortunately, and I can't explain. In Hamilton County, you just see a lot of this. This is not unusual. But
I'm
to answer your
dealing with it
question,
right now.
yes, the spouse has the interest.
So the key word there is becomes an heir.
Yes.
Because the spouse
Because
is
of
an
the
heir.
passing.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, you're an heir.
Makes sense in that way.
But also, that heirship also makes you responsible.
Well, I understand. No, I understand, yes.
You see that, we had it, where we
Yeah.
had a really difficult, it turned out if y'all remember the younger gentleman that died with 2 girls.
Oh,
Yes.
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 Wonder what happened.
And I think the property is,
Sold, it's been redone.
it's sold, and
It's
I mean,
beautiful.
but that's sort of an example, but there you had minor children,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. But we had some assistance from the family to help, they didn't abandon the property, but I think it got sold. But our concern was, what do? We got children here, we can't serve children.
So the property on Madonna, and all we find is the nephew,
Mm-hmm.
and you finally locate him, he says, I don't want nothing to do with it. It still has to sit for the 4 years for the taxes
No.
to go for sale?
Well, if he says he doesn't want anything to do with it, we would request that he just deed it over as an heir to the city. And the city
So
take
does
ownership.
does he become the heir?
Yes.
And become the heir?
What would happen is, there's a couple things. We would, if he's cooperating, I would try to talk to him and say, let's get your family history figured out, how you're the surviving heir. We would file a monument of title, have him deed over the property to the city, and then the city would do what we call a quiet title action. And we would, again, put the world on notice that the city's been deeded this, and we're asking for a judge to render title, in our world, quiet title. It creates marketable title. Puts us in full fee simple ownership, and from there, we take the efforts to either clean it, whatever we want to do, and then we sell it, or whatever the city deems to do. It is a process.
But if he is the only heir, it would behoove him to do that while he could sell it to
Yeah.
we buy houses for cash and get a couple of thousand out of it.
Whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would behoove him to do that. But if we could find an heir, that would be awesome, to help with that.
And we do have, there is the luxury afforded by publication, but there's only so much we're able to accomplish through publication as well. So we can't take ownership,
Per our codes, if I read it all right, we could actually go in and make the repairs to fix
You
the
can.
house, period, and
Yeah.
put that link to the house and the property. So whenever somebody does buy it.
Correct.
We could,
And we have that.
All in the backyard and all this other stuff.
we had that even as early as this week with even the 1302 McBrien property. We get calls, it's gotta be 2-3 months where we get called by title companies with respect to property that's going through a change of ownership, asking, hey, these liens that existed, we need to pay them off. In fact, in this case, it was a mess. The title company missed the liens in June of last year. They were recorded. they use the same title company. Something tells me the title company is paying those amounts. Either way, the answer yes is we can go in and do self-help and put it as a lien, tax it as a cost of the property. Where you get nailed is when it goes to a back tax sale and it doesn't get sold, and the county and the city buy it for $1, we get wiped out, and that happens.
So if they sell it at a back tax sale, you don't recoup your liens.
Not if it doesn't sell in excess of the amount of liens, no. We've had it where I think the city's gone and we've bid on it at a time or two, got it for $1, we lose our lien, but we own the property and we've turned around and we've sold it. I remember we had that a few years ago, I think. City Manager Dorsey had, where we were able to sell it, I think.
That's why I want to get in and look at it.
Yeah, right.
Trying to buy it.
Well, obviously, the purpose for my question is the Seminole property, because several of times the spouse does pass away, and then the living spouse doesn't have the means or the money or the whatever to fix a property.
And then you also have the other heirs, the children of the one who passed
Right.
away, who then it falls on to,
Yeah.
to take care of those. So there's always people.
Right.
That's why I'm so astonished at this, that there's nobody. It's like,
Find a soul, yeah.
there's got to be someone. And then even the people who were paying taxes. Now, how many years, I think I'd asked this question loosely a while back, how many years, say these neighbors were paying the taxes on that property, how many years would they need to pay taxes to actually own that house?
Well, it's,
Or could they?
Tennessee adverse possession is a 7-year statute.
Okay.
But there's more to it than just paying taxes.
Okay.
You've gotta own it,
Paying the
exclusive
mortgage.
control, there's an acronym for it, but basically, exclusive control, open and obvious, they take actual possession of it. I mean,
They're
there's-
living there?
Somebody almost needs to go squat there is really, yeah.
And I think they were, from
They were
the
storing
neighbors.
things in it or something, weren't they?
Kids are playing it.
Oh, big playhouse.
Place to play.
A hideout.
Yeah,
Okay.
so, okay. So if we don't have anything else, are we adjourned? We're adjourned, okay.
I apologize.
No, you're good.